In the ancient lands of the Middle East, long before the rise of modern kingdoms and nations, there was a powerful empire called Babylon. Its walls stood high, its gates shone with bronze, and its rulers believed no nation could stand against them. But among the many people conquered by Babylon, there was a small nation. A nation chosen by God. A nation whose people were taken away as captives. And from that captive people, there was a young boy. A boy whose life would change kingdoms, shift decrees, silence lions, and display the power of the living God. His name was Daniel. Daniel grew up in Jerusalem, in a family of noble heritage, a young man trained in discipline, wisdom, and devotion to God. He wasn't alone. 3 other young men from Judah walked this same path: Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, known later in Babylon as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were more than friends. They were brothers in faith, young men who feared God in a land where idol worship was normal. Together they prayed. Together they studied. Together they committed themselves to honor God even in a strange land. When Babylon invaded Jerusalem, Daniel and his 3 friends were taken. Taken from their homes. Taken from their families. Taken into a world that did not know the God of Israel. They were brought into Babylon, a land of golden statues, sorcery, music, festivals, fire altars, and kings who bowed before idols. But even far from home, Daniel and his friends did not forget who they belonged to. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were chosen to be trained in the king's palace, taught the language and culture of Babylon, groomed for service in the royal court. Babylon tried to change their identity, but they held onto the identity God gave them. And together they made their first great decision. They refused the king's food offered to idols. In a foreign land filled with pressure and temptation, they stood for purity. Daniel did not stand alone. His 3 friends stood beside him, because sometimes God strengthens your faith by giving you the right people around you. And because they honored God, God honored them. Their wisdom grew. Their understanding increased. Their excellence was noticed. And soon, they stood before the king, wiser than all his magicians and astrologers. As the years passed, Daniel rose from one kingdom to another. Under Nebuchadnezzar, he interpreted dreams. Under Belshazzar, he read the writing on the wall. Under Darius, he rose above all the presidents and governors. But through all these seasons, Daniel never walked alone. His 3 friends became leaders too, faithful men who were later thrown into the fiery furnace for refusing to bow to an idol. And just as God was with Daniel, he was with them. Their faith journeys supported one another. Their obedience strengthened one another. Their courage ignited one another. These 4 men, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, became lights in Babylon. Daniel's rise, however, brought jealousy. Other officials hated him, not because he was corrupt, but because he was faithful. They searched for a flaw, a weak point, a heathen sin. But they found nothing. The only thing they could attack was the one thing Daniel never compromised: his devotion to God. And though his 3 friends were also men of prayer, the attack of this moment came directly for Daniel. The jealous men went to King Darius with a trap dressed in flattery. They convinced the king to sign a decree. For the next 30 days, no man should pray to any god or person but the king. Anyone who disobeyed would be thrown into the den of lions. Daniel heard the decree. He knew the plan. He understood the danger. But he also knew something else. If he stopped praying, he would lose the foundation of his life. So he opened his window toward Jerusalem and prayed, just as he had always done. Not to be seen, not to be dramatic, but because God. Spiriters waited, watching and listening, waiting for the moment Daniel would pray. And just as they expected, they found him on his knees, not shaking, not hiding, not pretending, but praying. They rushed back to the king with triumphant smiles, declaring that Daniel had broken the law. When King Darius heard this, his heart shattered. He loved Daniel. He respected him. He knew Daniel was faithful, loyal, and trustworthy. All day, the king searched for a way to save him. He questioned the law. He asked for counsel. He tried to reverse the decree. But the law of the Medes and Persians could not be changed. Daniel had to be thrown into the lion's den. As evening approached, soldiers came and took Daniel away. The sky was fading. The atmosphere was heavy. The king himself followed, full of sorrow. Daniel was brought to the mouth of the den. A deep pit carved into the earth, filled with fierce and hungry lions whose growls echoed from below. Every sound from the darkness reminded Daniel of what awaited him. But fear did not rule his heart, because his confidence was not in himself. His confidence was in the God he had walked with since his youth. Daniel walked into the pit. The stone was rolled into place. And the king sealed it with his royal seal, not because he wanted to, but because he had no choice. That night, King Darius could not sleep. No music, no food, no rest. But Daniel slept in the presence of the God he trusted, because long before he met the lions, he had already met the Lion of Judah. In the darkness of the den, God sent his angel. No roar, no attack, no fear. The lions, strong and hungry, suddenly became still. Their mouths were shut by the hand of heaven. Their aggression dissolved at the presence of God. Daniel sat in peace, untouched, unharmed, unafraid. It was not the size of the lions that mattered, but the size of Daniel's God. At sunrise, King Darius ran to the den with trembling steps. His voice cracked as he called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you?" A voice came from the darkness. Daniel was alive. The king wept with relief. Orders were given. The stone was rolled away. Daniel was lifted out, not a scratch on him, because faithfulness brings divine protection. The men who plotted against Daniel were brought forward. Those who planned evil fell into their own trap. They were thrown into the lion's den. And before they touched the floor, the lions overpowered them. What could not touch Daniel destroyed them instantly, because the God who protects his own is the same God who judges wickedness. King Darius then wrote to all peoples, nations, and languages of the earth that the God of Daniel is the living God. His kingdom shall never be destroyed. His dominion has no end. He saves. He delivers. He works wonders. And Daniel prospered under the reign of Darius and under Cyrus the Persian. The lion's den was not Daniel's first test. It was the fruit of many choices he had made long before. Faithfulness in his youth, purity in Babylon, courage with his 3 friends, worship in the secret place, obedience under pressure, prayer that never stopped. And because Daniel walked faithfully in the quiet places of life, God walked with him in the dangerous places of life. Daniel's story teaches us this. Faithfulness is not built in the crisis. Faithfulness is built before the crisis. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked the journey with him. They strengthened one another. They encouraged one another. Their faith in the fire prepared Daniel for faith in the lion's den. These young men proved that even in a foreign land, surrounded by idols, facing pressure from kings, the God of heaven still rules over all. Daniel entered Babylon as a captive, but he rose in Babylon as a conqueror, not by sword, not by rank, but by faith in the living God. May we be like Daniel, faithful before God, unmoved by pressure, unshaken by threats, and fully devoted to the one who saves. If this story blessed you, don't leave without doing this. Like the video, share it with someone who needs strength, and subscribe for more Bible stories. And tell me in the comments, Lord, make me faithful like Daniel. God bless you.